For our final session, we have Dr. Ashwini Shetty. She here? Yeah, hi. She's a microbiologist from Sion Hospital with a special interest in HIV, and she's done a whole lot of work in HIV. I'll let her speak on the importance of flow cytometry analysis of CD3 and CD4. Dr. Ashwini.
Hello everybody, I am from National AIDS Research Institute, Pune. I am going to speak on CD4 T cell monitoring in HIV infection, focusing studies which are done in NARI. So the tests which are used for monitoring HIV infection are CD4 count, then viral load, resistance test and therapeutic drug monitoring. Then the CD4 test, our program focuses on CD4 tests because they are cheaper also and they can be easily done. Whereas the viral load testing, drug resistance testing require much of the cost and therefore they are not routinely done in a program setting. Then what is the role of CD4 count in HIV monitoring? It is mainly for assessing the immune status of the patient because as the HIV progresses, CD4 count drops down and we can clinically stage the HIV infection based on CD4 count. Then also we can initiate the ART. So for us, the CD4 cutoff for initiation of ART is 350, but as per WHO, it is 500. And now in Western world, they are doing test and treat strategy. So as soon as the HIV is detected, they go for treatment. But in program setting, it is very difficult to go for test and treat strategy because there are cost issues also involved and the adherence issues are also involved in that. Then monitoring ART also is very important because whether the ART is working or not, whether there is a development of drug resistance or there is problem with adherence, we have to monitor the ART with the help of CD4 count. Then for initiation of OI prophylaxis also it's very important. So when the CD4 count drops down below 200, the OI prophylaxis has to be started. So the patient has to be started on cotrimoxazole prophylaxis. Then there are different testing platforms which are available for CD4 count estimation. So initially they were dual platform. So the percentage used to be given by flow cytometry and the absolute used to be compounded using the hematology analyzer which used to give ALC. But it involves both the equipments have to be accurate. So now the single platform technologies have been available which gives absolute CD4 count estimation also. And they do it either by using bead-based methods. So they use a known bead count in the tubes and depending upon the bead count, they calculate your absolute count, or there are certain volumetric assays which suck the known volume and then they calculate your absolute CD4 count. So there are different flow cytometers which are available. They can be standard flow cytometer where you can do many other tests apart from CD4 count also, and there are certain modified technology which are dedicated for CD4 count estimation. So if it is only to be used for CD4 count estimation, you go for modified technologies because they are easy to use and they're user friendly also. And nowadays there are point of care testing also available for CD4 count estimation. So these are point of care testing. You can do it bedside also and give the results immediately to patients so as ART can be initiated and monitored soon after the diagnosis. So what are the advantages of this point of care testing? So they are easy to use, they require minimal training. Then the reagents which are used are also mainly stable and they can be stable at room temperature also. So they can be used even in the rural settings. Then they require minimal maintenance and they can be battery operated, so they don't need the continuous supply of electricity. Then the reduction in TAT can be done, so turnaround time can also be reduced and the reports can be given to the patients immediately, minimizing the loss to follow-up because the loss to follow-up is very important in HIV infection because the ART has to be taken continuously without any gaps in that. And many of them are also compatible with the capillary blood. So you don't need to draw venous blood and the capillary blood also can give the similar results. But there are certain disadvantages also, like they have low throughput, then the supply chain to the rural has also to be managed, And the implementation of external quality assessment system also could be a problem, because the supply of your proficiency samples also could be a problem, and some of the equipments don't give proper results using stabilized blood samples. Then NARI was involved in validating two of such point of care instruments like PIMA and Fax Presto. So there the CD4 count by venous as well as capillary blood was compared with the standard method, and then there was good correlation with the venous blood as well as with the capillary blood, so they can be used for doing additional testings. Then this Fax Presto gives CD4 absolute, CD4% as well as hemoglobin along with the CD4 absolute. So they can be used, and there also capillary and venous blood gave good correlation with the standard method. Then NARI was also involved in validating dry reagents. So all these flow cytometry reagents have to be stored properly in cold chain, and they have to be protected from light. But this company provides the dry reagent which can be stable at room temperature also, and that also gave good results with the standard technologies. And here the advantage was the stain samples also could remain stable at ambient temperature or at 37 degrees Celsius for 7 to 10 days. So the staining can be done at the rural center, and they can be shipped to the tertiary center where they can be acquired. Then we found out a review was done to find out factors which can affect the CD4 count. And there were different factors which can affect the CD4 count, like the sex of the patient, individual also can affect the CD4 count. So it is usually seen greater in female than in male. So females have higher CD4 count than the males. Then age, children usually have higher counts than the adult patients. Then the time of collection is also very important, because CD4 count varies with the, it has a diurnal rhythm, so it varies according to the time of collection. So evening, the CD4 count is found to be more than that found in the morning. Then because of stress and physical activities also, CD4 count can vary. Then pregnancy also, because of hemodilution, the CD4 count can be lesser. Then certain drugs also can affect the CD4 count. Then different infections like tuberculosis, viral infection also can affect because of the stress induction. Then if there are anti-lymphocyte and autoantibodies, it can affect the CD4 count, and if there are procedures like splenectomy, it can increase the CD4 count. Then there were different normal ranges which were reported by the studies which were done in and out of India. So all of them gave different ranges. So the CD4 count varies in individuals, so the ranges are very wide. And in western regions, usually the higher ranges were reported than whatever was reported in Indian settings. So whether they have better CD4 count, and that's why they have the better advantage, and they have the slow disease progression, that is one of the question. And when in Indian setting that was studied, it was found that in southern India, the CD4 counts were higher than the other regions, and north and east regions had lower CD4 count as compared to the other Indian regions. So this is reporting the mean, and this is the median reporting studies. Then NARI also conducted a multi-centric study, where 8 sites were involved across the country to find out the reference ranges for the CD4 count estimation. And here a total of 1,206 individuals were enrolled, and mostly around half were male and half were female. And then the CD4 count and percentage were determined in these patients. And here also we found the female had higher CD4 count than the male participants. And then the other factors which can affect the CD4 counts were also studied. So like they were in adult individuals, so no children below 18 years were enrolled in this. But here the age group between 20 to 40 years reported slightly lower CD4 count than the other age groups. Then marital status had no effect on the CD4 count, but income status was found to have the effect. So higher income group had found to report had the higher CD4 count than the medium and the low income groups, and it could be because of the nutritional status. So nutrition can affect the CD4 count, and it could be because nutritional status would be higher, they had the higher CD4 count, but the alcohol consumption and smoking had no effect on the CD4 count. Then the similar study was also done in pediatric population, where the children of different age groups were enrolled in the study. So starting from newborn to up to 18 years were enrolled in the study from different clinics or different settings, or from the schools also. And the children have the higher age group, higher CD4 counts, and the CD4 count drops down as their age decreases. But this CD4% remains somewhat constant, so it doesn't vary much as the absolute CD4 count varies. So in HIV infection, usually for monitoring the progression and for initiation of ART, percent CD4 counts are taken and not the absolute CD4 counts. Then once the HIV infects a person, the CD4 counts drops down. So initially it drops down during primary infection, and then again there is rise, and after that then there is progressive loss of CD4 count, whereas viral load increases during primary infection and then it drops down after the primary infection because of the immune responses, and then it continues to increase. And once the CD4 counts drops down below 300 or 200, all the opportunistic infections set in. But this and this loss of CD4 depletion is because not only because the infected cells are lysed, it is because of the uninfected cells or bystander cells also get lysed because of immune responses, or because of viral effects, or because of apoptosis, which are induced by viral proteins. Then the rate of progression is not similar in all the patients. So some patients progress naturally, and they take around 6 to 8 years to progress to AIDS. But some patients can progress within 2 to 3 years, so they are called as rapid progressors, and some patients can remain